Hello everybody, I'm Rob Genovese. I'm the owner of Unleash My Beast brand. I'm a branding coach. I'm also a graphic designer, and over a period of time I've evolved my company from that of a design company and a website design company to a branding company that really helps businesses find out what makes them different, separates themselves from the competition, and absolutely makes a differentiating factor that makes you the choice. So hopefully I'm going to give you some value today, so let's get right into it. So what actually are we talking about here when we're talking about branding? You know, branding is a lot of things to a lot of people, but the main message I want to get to you today, that I want to get across, is one that is really on the minds of a lot of business owners and people struggling month to month to get clients and to really be the choice among so many choices out there. And so what I want to show you now is a way how you can actually make your competition irrelevant. This flies in the face of a lot of companies. A lot of people will say how to go head to head with your competition or how to beat your competition. But really, branding goes beyond that. It makes those things unnecessary. I mean, who really wants to go into battle when you don't have to? Who really wants to get into a fight when it's unnecessary? And especially if you're a business owner, maybe you're a solopreneur, maybe you're a small team, do you really have the time to try and beat off the competition? I know you don't. And that's why you're here today. So what we're going to talk to you about is how to make the competition irrelevant. We're going to use the power of branding, and I'm going to break it down and show you how to exactly go about doing that. So what is the biggest challenge? You know, I hear a lot of business owners, they tell me, usually early on in their business, one of the things they say is, you know, I love what I do, but I'm just having a tough time getting clients. You know, clients seems to be the biggest sticking point. It's the reason we do all the marketing we do. It's the reason that we advertise. It's the reason we do things like make this video so you can get your name out there, so you can get your brand awareness out there. Why? Just so you can get clients. So maybe you can gain a little credibility, maybe gain a little trust, maybe have them just listen to you so you can pitch them, just for the opportunity to maybe win the business. So getting clients is tough. And what a lot of business owners say to me is they say, I need to find, this is early on by the way, they always say things like, when I ask how things are going, and they say, well, you know, I've got a couple of clients, but you know, I'm looking forward to my next client. You know, I need to find the next client because they're looking down a month, 2 months, 3 months, or 6 months down the line and thinking, I need my next clients because they need to set it up so they have an ongoing income. Nobody wants a month without income. So early on, it's I need to find my next client, my next client, my next client. Shortly thereafter, it leads to, you know, once they have gotten in a flow and maybe their name has gotten out there, they're finding that next client fairly easily, or at least they're coming to them in some seemingly flowing fashion on a regular basis, that is. But a lot of them say next is, what I'm looking for is more clients. I need more clients. Why? Because they want to make more money. So the idea is, if I want to make more money, I need to have more clients. So it's more clients, I need more. And then after that, what are they looking for? Well, you go through more and more clients, and what do you essentially find out? That there's a difference between clients, isn't there? There's clients, you know, the normal, average, everyday client, but sometimes there's the not so great client, the client who bucks you every step of the way, the client who's constantly questioning your expertise, who's constantly trying to chew down your price or negotiate for a lower fee. And then, even then, they're not even that happy. And they never seem to be happy. And then even when you close the job and you're done, they don't seem happy with the result. They don't seem happy with you. And certainly, you can probably tell, they're not going to refer you to anybody else. This is the nightmare client. Nobody wants more nightmares. What happens there is you go through all this work, and essentially what you're doing is you're doing it for the money. Now, listen. Making money is a good thing. Profit is good. But you don't want to make that the one thing you're trying to do on a daily basis, grinding it out, trying to make more money. Going after the money is never the solution. You want to fix the source. You want to fix the problem so that money is a byproduct of your great service, but servicing great clients. The other side of that nightmare client scenario is your ideal client. These are your super fans. You know, they value your expertise and they really follow your lead. They agree to pay your fee. How about that one? They don't really question you too much. They go, okay, that sounds good, and they move ahead. The consult doesn't take that long before you can enter in an agreement with them. And then every step of the way, you're doing your thing and they're following along and they're making decisions that help for a healthy outcome. And when everything is done, they're excited, they're happy, they're appreciative, and they finish paying, you know, maybe you took a deposit up front, and they pay the balance, and they're happy, and it all went well, and you're thinking, wow, wish they could all be like that client. I wish I had more of those clients, right? So what do we move to? We move to the third phase of that looking for client stage, and that's, I need better clients. So what we really mean is this. We need ideal clients. We need clients that when the job is done, they're so happy, what do? They refer you to other people like them. They refer you to other people like them. People who believe the way they believe, we call them tribes. You know, if you were to go out and get any old client just for the money, and you dealt with a nightmare client, and you thought, oh, okay, hey, maybe one refers you to somebody else, but what do you think they're gonna do? Who are the people you think they're gonna refer to? You know, birds of a feather flock together, right? We all know this. And so nightmare clients know other nightmare clients. And do you really want more headaches? Do you really want more stress? Of course not, and you don't have to. See, when you focus on the ideal client, that super fan, they're happy, you're happy, they pay you, they refer more people like them, more super fans, who then what? Refer to more super fans, and the referral machine kicks in. And that's what we're talking about here today. We're going to talk about it in terms of what does this mean for your brand. So look, nobody wants to sell clients over and over and over again. We don't want to keep selling. This is not something we want to do on a monthly basis, although some people think you have to do that. That you have to go out and get sales, and you have to pitch, and you have to win, and then you have to do it all over again. And that becomes a real grind, and nobody wants a grind if you don't have to. So what are we talking about then? Instead of selling the clients, what are you doing? We'll take it from Gary Vaynerchuk. You know Gary V? Look, in between all the F-bombs, he's got real wisdom. He says the greatest companies in the world don't sell, they brand. And he knows he runs a media empire, and he is a sought-after speaker all around the world. So if he says they brand, guess what? You should brand too. So when we think about how you go about this, you've got to think, you know, what if you could wave a magic wand? What if you had a superpower? You know, a superpower that just made business appear. You know, there's plenty of superheroes who can make things disappear and blow things up and throw them into hyperspace. They could do all kinds of things with their superpowers. Well, what if you had a business superpower where really you made business appear? And what if it wasn't that much of an extra effort? What if it actually was enjoyable? Well, I'm going to talk about that in terms of branding. And here's what I'm talking about. This is what every business owner wants, right? They want an endless flow of clients who love them. What does that mean? You know that love, people go, this is frou-frou stuff. You know, why are you talking about love? Hey, listen, it's at the core of every great relationship. Don't you want them to love you? Don't you want them to go out of their way to talk good about you, to be your brand ambassador without you having to pay them? You know, you pay employees to do a task. You have to pay them. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. But you think about happy clients who talk about you in good ways and praise you to other people, and you don't have to pay them. Guess what? This crowd of people right here, this could be your endless flow of clients, and you never have to keep going out and get them. And guess what? You'll love your business all over again. You'll love doing it on a day-to-day basis, and you'll make more money. All right? You can have both. So, the power of branding. What does this actually mean? You know, when I first started out, and like I said, I started out as a design company, a website design company. And you know, I didn't become a brander because it sounded like a good occupation. I didn't choose the occupation of brander and then learn it and then go out and apply it. What happened was I was trying to really help my clients. And as a designer, I was doing that through designing logos, designing websites, building websites. And I had a client one day and he was really struggling. Competition was killing him. He was newer to the game than they were. And we thought, hey, we've got to come up with an alternative way to really help him. I knew that logos don't help and websites don't help a business, really. They're tools in your toolbox, but they're not going to be the thing that makes the difference. A new website is not going to bring you more business necessarily. And a logo certainly is not. So what did I do for this client? Well, I took a more strategic approach. And what I did was I did design and develop a logo, and I did design a website. And what I did was I took it a step further and identified who that ideal client is, who he should be talking to. And I wrote all the copy for his website in his voice, a very specific way of speaking that would attract that ideal client. Taught him some basic social media skills, implemented it, and I'm going to tell you, it made a difference almost immediately. That was several years ago. And he just sent me a video the other day praising me because he's busy all the time. He has an endless flow of clients who love him. He's even reached local celebrity status. He was telling me he was in the supermarket one week, and actually somebody came up to him because they saw him on social media, and they pointed him out, and they said, hey, I've seen you before. So he's got this local fame, which he loves. But he's become the choice to go to because people know him, they love him, and he does amazing work. By the way, the implication here is that you do amazing work. You can't brand yourself and think that's going to cover up for shoddy work. You just can't do that. But the power of branding comes in where your reputation precedes you. You're not going to have to pitch. You're not going to have to compete. This is part of making your competition irrelevant. Imagine that. No pitching, no competing. It's here I am, here's my price, and they go, okay, when can you start? How about that scenario? So let's use an example here to talk about what branding actually is. If it's not the logo and it's not the website, and if it's not the name of the company or the tagline, you know, then what the heck is this thing called branding? Well, looky here. We have two coffee companies, right? We both know these very amazingly popular brands. And so they're so popular that one of them, you can see there on the left, isn't even a word. You know, it's 4 letters, but you know what it is. And the one on the right, no word at all. It's just a picture. It's a mark. It's a logo mark is what we call it. But you know exactly what it is, right? So very, very strong brands. Now here's the thing. They both sell coffee, among other things, but the main thing they sell is coffee. So what is the difference? How can they both be wildly successful selling the same thing and at different prices? If price was the only thing that mattered, well then Dunkin' wouldn't exist. Or rather, Starbucks wouldn't exist. Depends on who you talk to. I know some people, they'd rather pay more because they get to brag about it. But most people, you know, would rather pay less. The point is, there's people for both brands. So when you look at the inside of these places, you know, on the left we have Dunkin'. Now look at this place. You go in there and look, you've seen this, they all look the same. These are franchises. You go in there, you get online, you give your order, and you get out. They don't make this place a place where you want to hang out, right? So you look at there on the left side of that picture, and there is a white counter. There is a very hard chair. There's no back to it. That chair faces a little white wall. Not exactly very inviting. They don't want you to stay. It's by design. It's on purpose. It's get them in, get them out the door, right? But look at Starbucks on the right. Much different. Look at the lighting. That lighting is kind of dramatic. It's a little bit lower. Look at the seating. They have soft chairs that you can sink into with overhead reading lights so you could sit there and read and enjoy your coffee. Even at the counter's different. The counter has chairs with a little bit of a cushion, but it has a back to it, And what are you looking at? You're looking at nice lighting. There's overhead Edison lights. Make it a nice mood, dark wood, something that really feels warm and inviting. And you're looking at some food. You're looking at a menu because they want you to hang out. What we're talking about here is an experience. And that's actually what branding is. It's the experience. The amazing thing here is both wildly successful businesses, but they cater to different audiences, okay? And that's the message. Dunkin' people don't really go to Starbucks, and Starbucks people don't really go to Dunkin'. They have their preferences, and they're both very set in their brand loyalty. There's enough to go around if you're talking to the right audience. So let's look at another great example. I don't have to tell you who these guys are. These are major players in the discount retail world. We've both been to these stores. We've been to multiple Walmarts, multiple Targets. They all look the same, but what's the difference between the two? So it's a very similar situation where you look at the experience. Look at Walmart on the left. You walk into the store and essentially you've got brown boxes. The stuff inside is not even out for display. It's kind of like, hey, here's the lowest price, grab the box, check out, and get out. It's very similar to the Dunkin' model in that price is the only thing that matters. You can look at the shelves and it's merch on top of merch on top of merch, and there's no real display to them. There's no aesthetic to them. The overhead signs of everyday low price, it's pounded into your head that what are you there for? You're there for the lowest price. You're not there to have an enjoyable shopping experience, unless low price is your experience. But you look on the right, Target has a little different approach. They're a discount retailer too, but you don't see brown boxes. In fact, you don't really see any boxes. They have nice table displays with the merchandise arranged in a decorative fashion. It looks like they're setting the table at your home, where you can picture this in your home. And that's the idea. They want to give you that emotional experience of seeing how this might look in your home, and that's what causes you to buy. It's a little bit more upscale, it's a little trendy. Now, both discount retailers, but two different audiences. There's enough to go around. So what does this actually mean to you? Well, when we talk about branding, first of all, we establish what branding is and is not, kind of, right? I said it's not those things like logo, tagline, name, and all that. So what is it? It's everything. But here's the discerning factor you got to understand. Those things, the logo, the tagline, the website, they're all elements of a brand. They work together in harmony, strategically, in order to strengthen your brand so it sticks in the consumer's mind. Global branding expert David Breyer put it this way, very simply: branding is the art of differentiation, period. When you look at this example of coffee again, so let's talk about how branding can be applied to what you're doing, because I know those big brands, you know, they have their very strong global brand presence, but this can be at a local level too, at a smaller business level. But when we look at the power of branding, right, we look at this thing called coffee. And when you look on the left and you see this generic coffee, you can find it at any mom and pop shop, any diner, and it's about $1.50. And you look on the right, there's the Starbucks coffee. And by the way, this is their generic coffee, or not generic, but their plain coffee. It's not a mocha latte, or there's no specialty blend. It's just plain coffee. And they charge $1.85 for the same size regular coffee, an increase of 23%. It may not seem like a lot when you look at the price, but the percentage is a great increase. Why? Because they built a strong brand that people are willing to pay more just to have the brand in their hand. Look at pizza. Everybody loves pizza. Look, I'm Italian. I love pizza, but I love good pizza. I don't love every pizza. So on the left, we have your average mom and pop corner pizzeria. No big deal. But I happen to have several in my area that I just love. And there's some I don't love. But when you look at the average pizzeria, it seems like a good business. There's so many pizzerias in all our areas. So the average revenue on an annual basis for a pizzeria is about $769,000 annual revenue. It's not really a lot when you really think about it. That's the average revenue. So it sounds good if you want to own a business. Hey, that would be nice to have. You know, I get to own my own business, the flexibility and a little bit of freedom there, to be able to do it your way. But then look at Domino's on the right. Here's Domino's, $3.4 billion annually. When it comes to business, which business would you rather own? They both make pizza. And by the way, if I had my choice, I'm going for the pizzeria, the mom and pop corner shop. I hate Domino's pizza. It's not pizza to me. I don't know what it is. It's a little too doughy. It's too cheesy sometimes. There's not enough spices on it. So I go for the pizzeria pizza every time. But business? Give me Domino's every day of the week for a cut of $3.4 billion. Now, I know that's the whole franchise, but think about it. The mom and pop shop they don't have a prayer of expanding to that level unless they brand. So what does branding actually do for you? If you apply these principles that I'm talking about, what branding does for you is it raises the value of your business so you can charge more now and sell it for more later. In his book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, he says the only reason to build a business is to one day sell it. Now, if you build a small business, a local business, I know a lot of business owners think, well, they don't even think about selling their business someday. All they're doing is they're building an income. They're creating a job for themselves now that will pay their bills, give them somewhat of a lifestyle, and at the end of the, their exit strategy at the end of the day, they're just thinking, I'll just sell it if I can for whatever it's worth. And really, it's just worth whatever equipment is in there. Maybe there's a customer base that somebody will add value to. But I had a conversation with a business attorney one time who this is what he does. He buys and sells businesses. And I asked him, I said, how much does branding play a part when you're selling a business? He goes, Rob, he goes, when there's two businesses that are equal, one is branded, one is not, the branded one fetches a higher price tag every time. It's a lot cleaner. They know this process is in place. They know what to expect. There's brand loyalty, which means you can take the customers with you. So if you're looking to sell your local business, it's really just the equipment, but you don't really get that much. So a lot of times business owners, they just close the doors and they retire. For all those years of work, don't you want to walk away with a big fat check? You could, and branding helps do that. My favorite shark, Barbara Corcoran. She's amazing. If you've never read Shark Tales by Barbara Corcoran, I highly recommend it. It's a thin book, great story, great read, valuable lessons in there. But she said, they paid me much too much money for my business. They paid me for my sales, but they paid me double for my brand. Branding is everything. Imagine that. They paid her double for her brand. What did it take to build a strong brand? Well, let's look at it apart from the business. She built the business, yes, the sales, but she was smart enough to brand it so that when it came time to sell it, they paid her double. Let that sink in. So what does branding do outside of that too? Well, it does a whole lot more. It makes your marketing, your social media, your networking more effective so that when you properly brand everywhere you show up, whether you're part of a networking organization like Master Networks, or your platform of choice is LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, or you're building a YouTube channel, when you develop a strong brand, it makes these efforts more effective. You'll attract more people because you have a particular brand than if you had not branded. So what do we do here? How do you create these superfans? How can you get more superfans and kick in that referral machine? Well, here's what you do. First of all, you've got to understand the paradox of focus. You know, everybody knows that if you just dump a bucket of water on a rock, what happens? It gets wet. That's about it. But if you concentrate the flow of water through a pressurized nozzle in such a thin stream that it'll cut right through that rock over time, right? That's focus. You're focusing the energy to get a greater amount of strength. So it's the same thing in your business. I hear people all the time, they know that they're supposed to have a niche, right? They've heard this. They don't really believe it, but they've heard it so many times. So what do? They just go out there and they network a lot and they put videos up and they write articles and they build their email database and ship out emails talking to everybody. Why? Because every business owner I talk to, if they don't understand focus, says to me, when I ask them, so who are you looking for? And they go, well, I mean, everybody can use what I offer. Everybody needs this. Are you thinking about that right now in your business? Everybody needs what I have to offer. So everybody is my potential client. That's not focusing. See, in your messaging, which is what you say, what you record, and what you write, if you're talking to everybody, nobody hears you. If you're talking to everybody, nobody even hears you. So how do you get around that? Well, you focus the message. First of all, you have to identify that superfan. You have to really get down to it. The demographics, the psychographics. And look, you don't have to get into the analytics and the science of all this necessarily, although it wouldn't hurt. But you've at least got to know who you're looking for. You can get into things like, are they male or female? How old are they? Do they live in the city or in the suburbs? Do they have children? How many children? Do they have a dog? Do they have a cat? That you can even say, hey, do they have jobs? Do they have businesses? Heck, you could even go, hey, when they brush their teeth in the morning, what's the brand of toothpaste that they use? I mean, you can get crazy with some of the psychographics. But all this stuff means something because you're looking for a tribe. A tribe to identify with so that they all follow you. Because if you can get 100% of a tribe, that's better than a fraction of the general population. Trust me. Why? Because you'll keep having to work for the general population, only getting a small percentage. But you won't have to keep working for your superfan tribe because they'll be referring you to their friends. So you got to clarify your message. That's, like I said, when you speak, record, or write, that message, the words you use, who are you talking to? When you talk to a specific audience, if you've been a speaker or if you've done a presentation, they always tell you, know your audience. Because if you go in there with a general message, it doesn't really connect with them. But if they're a tribe and you know what their likes are, what their dislikes are, what their pain points are, what they're really looking for, then you can speak exactly to that pain point, provide an exact solution. Guess what? You got them all. So you got to clarify that message. You do that. You build a lead product that attracts them immediately because they all have a specific problem. They all have a problem in common. And when you can provide the solution, they latch onto it and they want it. All right? Make sure you have a differentiating message that's different from your competition because you don't want to blend in. And you use words specifically. Words you use, words you do not use. And what do? You pound it daily, everywhere you go. Here's the pitfall of this. The pitfall is you develop that message, but what happens is you're talking about it every day. You're saying it multiple times a day, every day, so much so that you get bored of it. And what do? You change it. Don't change it. Here's the thing. You may get bored of it, but your audience, there's people out there who are always hearing it for the first time. And even for the people who are hearing it repetitiously, they need to keep hearing it until it sinks in that when they're in a buying mindset, they think of you, right? You pound it daily everywhere because here's the thing. You cannot time a sale. You can't time the stock market, so you can't time a sale. The only thing you can do is when a person is in a buying mindset, you can just be there when they decide to buy. How do you do that? Well, you keep it consistent, you pound it daily, and you do it everywhere. Whatever platforms you're on, wherever you're speaking, your message is always the same. You think about Gary Vaynerchuk, I talked about him, but if you follow Gary V, all he's talking about is happiness in business. That happiness is the main thing. He's pounding that message. That's his message. Whether you agree or not, that's what it is. He never changes it. Think about that. With all his wisdom and knowledge, he could change up his subject matter all the time, but he doesn't. Because he knows that when you focus the message, you're going to connect with that ideal client and they're going to purchase from you. Why? Because they relate to you and they feel like, hey, they get me. I want to buy from them. You give them a reason to buy from you. So take this information. Focus your message. Be specific with your words. Keep everything consistent. Your logo, your tagline. Make sure it feels and sounds like it was coming from the same strategic mind. That they all work together like a symphony of instruments. Each instrument alone sounds great, but when put together and set to music, it's a beautiful symphony that sometimes brings us to tears or makes us laugh with joy. So this is how you're going to go out today and you're going to make your competition irrelevant. Thank you. Wait, don't go anywhere. For all my friends out there, I got some free stuff for you. Because I hope I gave you some value today, but I want to go above and beyond, which by the way is not a bad thing to do in business in general. I want to give you more. I want to give you some free stuff, some actionable tools you can use to implement the mindset I just gave you and go out next week with a little bit different plan, a little bit different strategy that's going to help you build a strong brand and be the choice over your competition. I want to give you some free stuff. So here's what I'm going to do. I want to give you the Unleash My Beast brand exclusive PersonaZone ideal client identifier. When I talked earlier about superfans versus nightmare clients, and of course you want more superfans, wouldn't you love to have a way to separate them right from the beginning? To go, whoa, wait a minute, I don't want a nightmare client, and you know before you even sign with them that you don't want to work with them. And conversely, you know, hey, this is a super fan, you want to jump right in and get to that job. You want to work with that client so you can choose who you work with. How can you tell? It's like predicting the future. How can you do it? I'm going to give you this tool to help identify super fans. It's going to be a game changer in your business. Next thing I want to give you a framework for a killer soundbite. You know, your soundbite, your 30-second elevator pitch. You know, what do you say when you're standing next to somebody in an elevator and you've got 30 seconds between floors when you introduce yourself and they go, what do you do? You've got 30 seconds and you can't waste a second of it to be able to get your message across so that it sticks in their minds so that hopefully that could lead to another client. Well, I'm going to give you a framework that is going to help you make an effective soundbite that is going to stick in your audience's minds. And thirdly, steps on how to focus your message. Focusing is the key to winning here. And what it's going to do is going to help you attract more super fans. So I'm going to give you these three things here. I'm going to give you the PersonaZone that's exclusive to the Unleash My Beast brand. It's a client identifier tool, the framework for a killer soundbite, and steps on how to focus your message. And all you got to do is this. You got to go get them now. You got to go on over to your computer, or if you're watching this on your computer, I want you to open up a new tab and go to unleashmybeastbrand.com/gift, and I'm going to give you that stuff for free. I want you to win, and these tools are going to help you do it. So go there, go now, go get those tools, go out, take this mindset, and kick some butt. And please, when it works for you, please reach out to me. Let me know that it worked for you. Tell me your story. I want to hear it. I want to be able to prop you up in front of my audience and say, they followed the process, they kicked butt, and they got a strong brand. Have a great day.